up, everybody? Real with Omar. Here we are again. Today, I am a representative of Kevin Diffley Law Firm, and my guest is none other than Kevin Diffley. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is like part two. This is part two. The first one, you were dressed up. You had the suit on. You were like, you were very formal.
First one was the literal first day of the inception of social media.
For you.
Yeah.
For you. I remember that. You asked me questions about it. I said, let's do it then. Let's go.
I didn't even know what I was getting myself into. I talked to you about it when I met you. We sat down. We had lunch.
Yeah.
A week later, come by my office.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll be there. Yeah, put this microphone on.
Yeah, let's do this. Yeah. Let's do this real quick. Okay.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, but that's how it rolls, man.
Yeah, cherry popping.
So we fresh off, pause. So fresh off the mixer, let's talk about that. We were at the New York REM, Real Estate Mixer with Curtis Quao. Shout out to Curtis.
Yep, absolutely.
I haven't been there in about 2 years, I think. You've done two. How was the feedback for you? What'd you think? It's good to I call it, boots on the ground, right? You'll meet people. I like meeting people that maybe starting their journey or in their professional journey, or people that are in their journey. I just like to kind of get a gauge, a pulse on what's happening on the street.
Grassroots is the way to be.
Yeah.
Meeting more people is the way to increase your network, increase your business. So feedback has been excellent. Mm-hmm. The first one I did, he did at his brokerage office, at the Sirhan office.
Shout out to Ryan.
Yeah, there probably was 420 people there. It was crazy. So center stage, spoke to a lot of people, made a lot of connections. And you know how it is. It's about the follow-up.
Yes.
It doesn't always immediately turn into a deal, but it may, even if it doesn't turn into a deal with this one person, they may introduce you to somebody else and it works out. So fostering the connections.
Okay, beautiful, man. So now we're a couple of deals in. People might be wondering, what's the law firm like? Is the service good? So as a lender, settlement, incredible. Shout out to Ida, we know that. As a buyer's attorney, we could talk about it a little bit. I had a deal recently close with you. We had to fire another attorney. We had to fire that attorney on a Thursday, not for us, not because of us, because the client asked us to. And we were ready to go on Friday. The next day, we were ready to go. But for whatever reason, the seller wasn't ready. We ended up closing like 5 days later. That was a great education for my client to see the difference in quality. And also, my wife, raves about the law firm. I mean, obviously she has her connections in there too, but she loves the service, transparency, responsiveness. You keep everybody up to date. It's a beautiful thing, man. That's on purpose, right? Like this was the business model that you were designing.
Well, first of all, we're very grateful for the phone call. Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
If anybody is not happy with their current counsel and attorney, and this goes for any area of law, in particular real estate, if communication is not happening, you haven't heard back in weeks, days, whatever it may be, or even hours, depending upon the urgency of the situation, you can literally fire your attorney at any time.
Let's walk through that. So when my client had to fire their attorney, you had a conversation. I said, first, I explained to him what was happening. I said, let me know if you're comfortable stepping into this. And he was like, okay, let me talk to her. So then I connected you guys. So the first step is they have to send a letter or an email to the current counsel, right? I just want people to understand how you can change that, because most people think they're stuck.
Well, look, technically, if you're an attorney who is a prospect, essentially, you're not supposed to speak with the client. You're supposed to speak with their attorney if they have an attorney. Okay. So same thing on the buy and the sale side.
Right.
I can't speak with the seller if I represent the buyer. I have to speak with the attorney.
Okay.
So the same sort of thing. You want to know that they're getting rid of this other attorney. Mm-hmm. I can give an opinion about that and how to best to do it, but essentially to cover my end too, I need to see something in writing.
I want people to know how to do that, because most people feel they're stuck, right? Like, close the next week. We were going to close the next day. And what precipitated the client to want to fire their attorney, they hadn't heard from their previous attorney for 7 to 10 days. Mm-hmm. They've been calling and emailing, and nobody got back to them. So finally, they were fed up. They were feeling the pressure. They wanted to close, and they couldn't get an answer. And that's what started the whole call. So what are the legal steps?
Well, you need to put something in writing.
Okay. Just that simple.
Look, if they haven't gotten back to you in 10 days, they may not get back to you when you send the email that's terminating their services. But at least if you've sent it, you've communicated it in as many ways as possible, it's been received on the other end or will be. Mm-hmm. Send it over to me. They're no longer working.
All right,
We haven't-
that's the proof, right? The burden of proof.
Yeah, and then on my end, I have a for real estate transactions, I have a 1.5 page engagement letter.
Okay.
Just goes over the ins and outs, the steps of representation, and once it's signed, we now have taken over and we've taken over the representation. Now we can reach out to all the parties on the transaction, which is what we did.
Mm-hmm.
We had to get the title report, title bill. We had to get everything ready when we initially thought we were going to be closing on the Friday.
The next day, right?
And then it turned out the sales attorney went on vacation for a couple of days.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
But especially with clearance, you get clearance from a lender.
Close.
7 to 10 days now, and I'm not hearing from you. That's the most important part.
What happens is, you're right, the money's ready, right?
Yeah.
So there's so many things can happen. So then the money's ready today. The money cannot be ready next week. There'll be rate lock extensions. They could be, the house get hit by lightning. I know it sounds crazy, but things happen. We had another guest who was supposed to be on the show today, got into a car crash. Like, shit happens.
Right.
Shit really, really happens. So that when it's ready, willing, and able, you should go. You should definitely go. But yeah, the service you provide is incredible. What do you find now with new home buyers that they come to you with, like, what kind of wonky expectations? Like, I'll give you an example. I had a conversation with a client earlier. He's like, what's my rate? I said, look, we're doing an investment property deal. You're turning 25% down. You're probably in the high 6s, low 7s. He goes, okay. I was like, but let me further add to that. Well, you don't have a contract. We don't have a rate. We don't have a deal. You're just shopping. He goes, I know. But I'm making another offer. I was like, okay. I already, ran his credit. I know his assets. I know everything. So I'm confident in quoting that. But I have to be clear with the client, because he could be like, where's my loan? I'm like, you don't have a deal. You're not buying any real estate. Sometimes you have to be clear. What have you encountered in your part of the industry where you feel like there's like a lot of unclear or not clarity?
Well, there's a lot of not clarity in almost every single end of the legal aspect of the transaction. But everything depends on a case-by-case basis with the client, what their particular issues are, what they want to know. For example, if I'm doing a first intro call with a client and it's a first-time home buyer, they may not even initially lead with what's your fee. With the lender, what's your rate? That's kind of
everybody knows what is the rate.
Yeah.
Yeah, snip that.
Yeah.
What are the closing costs? I'm like, yo, sir, we just got on the phone.
Yeah, exactly. So, don't get me wrong. When I hear that, it's kind of like, what is the fee? Snip that too. And then they want to get the fee down.
What is the fee? But wait, and then you quote it, right? Oh, regular. And then he has a complex apartment building, 1031 exchange. You're like, yo, bro, it's not the fee. That's not the fee.
Yeah. Well, it'll be that, or it'll be, what's the fee? Oh, can you do better? And then I do better. And then it's like, oh, I have another attorney that can do even lower. And then it's like, well, you continue to go down. And we talked about this less than a year ago on the first podcast, just briefly. And I still say the same thing that I said almost a year ago. You don't understand how bad an attorney is until something goes wrong.
Right.
Same goes with how good. Sometimes, other than a one-to-one on a communication. But if you're having the first initial phone call, you don't know how bad or good the communication may be other than what somebody's telling you.
Yeah.
Unless you've had it as a referral, and that's why another thing too, we're taking a big approach with really trying to engage on like Google and get your stars and your ratings up and things like that, because people actually go and look at that.
Yes. People check ratings. They like reviews for some reason. Yeah.
But generally, I'll go start to finish. If somebody is a new buyer, give them a quick, 2-minute rundown on what the process is, what they can expect, just to let them know we are your guiding source and your resource. We're available. Call us when you want to, but know that you're in trusted hands.
Well, going back to the deal we closed, one thing I stressed to my client, I was like, listen, the attorney's there to defend you, to protect you. You're the buyer. You need somebody protecting you. She had some talk from other sources. You should do this, you should do that. I said, listen to your attorney, because if anything goes wrong, that's who's going to be liable. All these people talking, they're just doing that, just talking. And going back to fees, I started at a certain fee, right? And I've had this conversation with clients, and they're like, well, can we do better? I said, absolutely. I said, I can do better. But understand, the lower my fee, the less access you have. So what that means is this guy, I just spoke to a client, Juan, he pays my full fee. He calls me on a Sunday, 8 o'clock, I pick up. If you want to pay me half of that, you get 9 to 5. You want to pay less than that, you get 12 to 4. It's just access. It's like, if you don't want full access. And I've had clients pay me retainers as a commercial lender to have 24. I just need to talk to you. I'm so scared because I've had a guy who had a TOE letter sent to him, and we got the deal done. But he's like, yo, I want to be able to talk to you. I said, well, my team. And he's like, no. I got to talk to you. I feel safer. I was like, well, bro, if you want 24-hour access, it's going to cost this. He was like, I'm going to sell you right now.
That's an interesting point because one of the things actually a client came up to me and asked, which we're in the midst of putting together. I don't know when the rollout's going to be.
Okay.
But when it rolls out, we need to roll out big and make it known.
Mm-hmm.
It is a subscription basis for a legal retainer with our law firm.
Okay.
And that'll be paid monthly. Clients now have access.
Right.
You know,
they have a lawyer on retainer.
Access will essentially change based on what the
monthly
level of subscription is.
Right.
And when they actually need to use it, it's not like they're just throwing it away. I mean, it almost will work like insurance. You know, you're paying, then you get into a major accident, you actually need to use it.
Right.
We, instead, I think, and if I change my mind, then you'll just edit this portion.
Mm-hmm.
But I think however much they paid, if they actually move into something like, oh, now I want to get my trust done, or I want to get my real estate transaction done, or I want to do this, that, or a third, we'll take whatever unused portion of that and credit it towards the transaction. And then you continue.
That's legit.
You know, and it might be it might be, 40, 50, whatever amount per month that's actually affordable.
Which you don't feel, right?
Yeah. But, when you start taking that to the masses, then you have to have the people that can answer. You have to have the communication that continues, and people need their questions answered. And when they're ready to move forward, then we'll be right there for you.
Yeah, you need the operations to support that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a grand scale. That's a good thing. I think in the banking side, it's a little harder to do that because everything is so fucking individual, right? Everything for me is so nuanced. Like, he has great credit, but not this. But the money's here and not there. Like, there's so many pitfalls and variances.
Real quick, you may be right with the client, but what did you just tell me?
From the event.
From the event, though, how many other lenders are now hitting you up and asking you about certain things that they've been going through the process with these other lenders that don't do what you do, and you're showing them these other ways and how you can get them direct, how you can increase their production and increase their bottom line. Maybe that's where the subscription might make sense.
Snip that. Loan officers hit me up on the DM. You heard all that. If you read between the lines, you know what we're talking about. Yeah, because there's a lot of fat out there being cut up. And I'm like, you don't have to do that, and they don't know any better. They get in these large mills, and these people are teaching them that, and they think that's the way it's supposed to go. Right.
Exactly.
And then usually that person who they're referring to is referring to me.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, we're just getting you right to the source, which is information is power, right? And knowing the right people gets you there faster. And I think that's the two things we just touched on right now, because having a good attorney gets a deal from nowhere to closing, right? And everybody's whatever, whether it was a little fighty, little whatever, but it got done. Having a guy who can tell you, hey man, that doesn't work. This is why it doesn't work. If you could fix this. Like, I had a call yesterday. I'll give you an example. 2 ladies. It's in Long Island somewhere. I don't know how that worked. There was 2 co-listing agents, I think. So they call me to get a pre-approval. I'm doing a loan, a DSCR loan for a sovereign nation. So the sovereign nation is buying it for their diplomat. So it's not a primary. It's the sovereign nation giving the money. He's going to sign for it, but it's going to be under an entity. So they're like, what's an asset-based loan? So I said, well, the house is the asset. I said, and because he's a foreign national, the most I can lend him is 65%. So your down payment is 35%, which is significant, right? So that's a good thing. I said, and the second thing is, if the rent pays for the mortgage, we're good. If it doesn't, we're still good. The rate gets affected a little bit, but the client is overqualified. So I said, the only thing that hurt this deal is if the property isn't appraised. And do you feel good about your listing? Oh, I feel really good. But these are 2 ladies that, I don't know them personally, but they sound like they've been in the game for a while. They've never heard what an asset-based loan is, what a cash flow loan, a DSCR loan is. They don't know what these things are. And she was like, I was just confused because I had to tell the seller what we're accepting.
Right.
And they don't know how to explain it.
Right.
Which is, to me, crazy. I've been doing this for like a decade now. And DSCR has been around since, I don't know, 2018, 2019?
Yeah.
5 years.
Yeah, but, even prior to that, you got to think about a majority of the transactions that, certain realtors are working on. And then all of a sudden they get...
an exotic.
Exotic. Yeah. So, I mean, that's the learning experience. When you could be the resource for that, then that turns into the new relationship, and then hopefully you continue to foster.
Right. That becomes... And then on the flip side, you heard this other conversation I had. You have realtors in different places trying to push on the buyers that the seller wants them to use a local bank. And I'm like, I was on phone calls like, I don't understand. Why would you? oh, because we've had a lot of fallout in this area. I said, well, that's because of the loan officers you were using, not because of me. I said, I'll do this. I'll send you tax returns and I'll send you bank statements. If your loan officer is worth anything, I said it nicer, he can do the DTIs based off of that, or he or she. He can see that my client has more than 50% down payment. I don't know what we're talking about. Now, if you're going to try to pitch and poach my client, I said it with the client on the phone, that's not legal. So let's just be real. Let's be honest. And they're like, oh, that's not what we're doing. We're just trying. I was like, I know what you're doing. You don't have to, like try to ratify or just even like make it make sense. I know what you're doing. I was like, you want to make sure. I was like, it's not right. And because I didn't go that way, but I was like, because my client is a high net worth Dominican guy with a little accent, you guys think you can maneuver him. I was like, but I'm here now. so let's cut the shit. So she was like, okay, Miss Figueroa. Yeah, banksters out here.
Yeah.
He's wearing a bankster shirt on purpose. And, that's one example. I'll give you another example. I have a client in the estate sale that's selling in Brooklyn, 90-year-old lady, real nice lady, lives in the building. And I have a buyer from around the block, and he's a younger lawyer, Anglo, and he's showing up to the property unannounced multiple times. So finally I had to shut homeboy down. I said, listen, reasonable access is 3-4 times. You're showing up knocking on a door unannounced? That's not cool. I was like, and it's not going to happen anymore. So because he was like, oh, there was a leak. I was like, yeah, that's great. Listen to me. When you get your clear to close, we'll do the final walkthrough together.
Mm-hmm.
You can address everything you want, and at the closing table, we'll talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
If you knock on this lady's door again, we're gonna have an issue. I was like, because you're breaching contract. That I said you're being divided. I said you're an attorney. You know this. That's not cool. Going back to representation, we got to take care of our own, right? Like sometimes, she's an African American lady. She's 90 years old. She really doesn't know what it is, and I feel a certain type of fiscal responsibility to her. Like, as well as protect her, because she doesn't know what's right. She doesn't know what's wrong. She's asking me. She's like, "What do you think?" I was like, "I think I'm gonna have a phone call, and you're gonna be fine. Just chill. Don't open the door for anybody else anymore. That's it. We're done." And the fact that I'm seeing this in 2024, that's kind of wild. That's kind of both scenarios happened today. Both scenarios, and I'm like, it's 2024. How the fuck is this happening? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, look, there's a lot of misinformation out there. Entitlement has always been a thing with certain people, and that's never going to change. And ultimately, people will take advantage of the people that can be taken advantage of sometimes, unless they have a you or me there
guardian
to help them.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. That's the part about wearing an ESQ or being a direct lender or being a real estate broker. Like, of course, yeah, everybody, oh, you guys make a lot of money. Yeah. Listen, that's cool. But understand that there's a financial or fiduciary responsibility to your client. And that's the big thing. Like, it's bigger than that sometimes. I've taken so many L's doing the right thing than just being a sales guy. In the micro, but in the macro, it's proven me time and time again to pay off so much bigger to me in a crazy karma way. So I believe in that. I perpetuate it. I keep doing it because, in the beginning, you're like, oh, I could have used that money. But then you're like, they're good. I'm good. As long as I left them better off than when I first met them, I feel better about that. And then somehow somebody calls you, I heard you did this, and it comes back to you. And that's definitely a message in this podcast I want to put out there, because a lot of people don't believe that. A lot of people think, get mine now. Yeah, that might work now. But in 5-7 years, eventually people talk when you're not in the room, right? And all those stories come out, and then eventually people connect the dots, right? Going back to you, going back to my wife, she was like, yo, we only got to use them. She's like, they're great. Like, she was like, go, and she's the agent, right? So she's dealing with the client. Shout out to Maggie. She's the agent, so she's dealing with the client more one-on-one.
Right.
And, she feels good when she is actually informed and can give them informed information. And by the way, not all attorneys are like that. Not shitting on anybody in particular, but some attorneys are very laissez-faire. They wait for you to do all the work, and they want to show up at the closing. And I'm like, oh, I need you to do this. I need you to, that is I cannot do that. As a real estate broker, as a lender, I need you to say this. And yeah, because I know the rules, it's a little easier for me. But what if I didn't? Then I'm stuck. Then I'm stuck in the vortex of doing nothing. And that's why I feel like a lot of agents need a good attorney, especially if they're new, right? They don't know the rules of engagement. They don't know you shouldn't do this, or you can do this, or you can send a TOA letter after this, or you have mortgage commitment. There's so many nuances that if you know the game, you could track it on a board. And if it's not moving, you can make it move.
Yeah, even something as simple as I'm on my way up here. I'm on a phone call with the realtor. So we haven't dealt with this particular realtor maybe like 9 months.
Okay.
So I don't know.
They've been off the planet for a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what happened. So she calls. Very nice person.
Okay.
We
So,
like her a
hey,
lot.
how are you?
Got a new deal. We're on the buy side. That was like 4 or 5 days ago. I'm like, where's the contract? I'm like, hey, phones were down for a little bit yesterday. She called my phone. So I'm talking to her. I'm like, we just still didn't get the contract. I don't know what's going on. She's like, oh, yeah, there's some, like, something about a condition of the property, another document that the seller is down in Florida needs to sign. I'm like, oh, property condition disclosure statement? She's like, yeah, exactly.
That one.
But in March, the rules changed.
Mm-hmm.
We never had to worry about that before as a realtor.
Right.
Never had to worry about it. And, look, don't get me wrong. Some realtors try to punt over to the attorney. Oh, it's a legal document. No, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
All you have to do is just give it to the client.
No,
Tell them to fill it out.
Right.
To the best of their actual knowledge, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
We used to just give a $500 credit. Down here, upstate, they've always used this document, so it's nothing new. I mean, I've had a couple investment properties upstate, and I'm like, oh, wow, look, property condition disclosure statement. I'm not getting $500 credit. I'm actually going to get a statement that is from the seller about the property.
Mm-hmm.
So don't get me wrong, there's exceptions, but she works for
a pretty big brokerage.
She works for a sizable brokerage. You would have thought that emails would have went out, training would have been happening on it, and that and above and more.
Yeah.
But that's not always the case, and that's where we step in, because there may be somebody else who's not going to tell them about that and what they should be doing, what their obligations are on the realtor end, what the obligations are on the attorney end, on the lender end, the whole bit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're here for.
Right.
Because that makes our job easier too.
Yeah.
When you know more about what you're doing, the process.
It's like using the analogy of having an all-star team. If you have all-star players, any one of us can get it done, right? And the fact that we know it, and you maybe like, yo, did you do that? Yeah, I got it. Or yo, maybe you might need it. Like, it just moves the ball so much faster. And the ball being the deal, right? The deal moves so much better when you have really good players. When you have like not the greatest players or lazy players, what happens, like in team concept, the other players have to do more work. And that's okay for a one-off. But once you become that guy or a girl who become known as that person, people don't answer the phone as quick. I was telling people all the time, I was like, yo, it gets cold out there. And when you have nobody you can call, this is the reason why nobody's picking up. This is the reason when you call and nobody's answering you, or you get a text back 2 days later, because when you have shit that you're supposed to be taking care of and you don't, people, it might be a passive-aggressive behavior, but people get tired of it. Like for me, when I see something I don't like, I just don't give it attention. And you can use that, yo, man, like, you're a mess, man. I'm not trying to deal with it. Like, if I have certain LOs, I'll be like, yo, man, your split remains the same. Let me speak to the client directly. Because speaking to you just frustrates me. Like, what? You just frustrate me, bro. Because if you're a professional, and I use that word loosely, if you're a professional, I shouldn't have to ask you what the DSC or the DTI, or I shouldn't have to ask you, what's our LTV? Do we have 6 months post-closing reserves? That should be in an email to me. Because now you're not asking me to underwrite and credit line or credit facility your file. You're asking me to do the deal with you, and you want to get paid as much or if not more than me.
Right.
So that also becomes a point of contention, right? Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I know legally attorneys can refer deals to other people, to other attorneys, and there's referral fees and stuff like that. But usually, you give an attorney a deal that is a deal that is a deal, right? Not just, I met this guy on the block.
Yeah, look, don't get me wrong. You're absolutely right.
Shout out to being right.
Yeah, but
this shirt makes my arms look good. Huh?
And yeah, no, that's one of my favorite tees. One of my favorite tees, man. And what about the newbies? There's new agents that they need to rely on you, and I don't mind that.
If they tell you that,
I don't mind it. Yeah, when we know up front, don't BS me, because I'm going to rewrite through it anyway.
Right.
I don't mind it on the first or second. But now we've done 9, 10, 11 deals together. Like, why are you not getting it?
You're not paying attention.
Yeah. That's one thing, and that goes for anybody, any professional. Everybody's entitled to mistakes. You want to minimize them, of course. You need to learn from your mistakes. You cannot be doing the same thing wrong the next transaction that happened on this transaction, because that's a learning experience for you. And you always have to be learning.
If you want to be a professional,
well, yeah.
Right. If you just want to be somebody who does this shit and is like always fucking up, that's how you'll be viewed. And unfortunately, that's the part where people are like, yo, when you speak to somebody, they take you serious. I was like, because I researched my shit. I didn't just make this up. I researched. If I didn't learn it through reading about it. I learned it through a mistake on another deal, but I learned from it. And that becomes the thing. Like, sometimes when you see certain emails from certain loan officers or certain or real estate agents, you hear the vernacular and tonality. You're like, yo, this guy has no idea, or she doesn't know, what the fuck is she asking?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be like, yo, what do you mean? Like, what does that mean? And that's okay, but pick it up as you go along. Don't don't be I call this all the time, don't be a relayer. A relayer of emails. You want to get my bad side? Just relay emails. Did you read it? No. Okay. Conversations time.
Yeah. No, exactly.
So who do you find more lately with I guess newbies? Who do you find more like points of friction with real estate agents or with loan officers or a mix of both?
Dun, 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 dun. This could go either ways.
Nothing is going to be held against you. We're going to black out your face. They're not going to know who you are.
Well, what was that one you did with the blackout face, man?
The anonymous lender.
Yeah. Oh, man, that skit was funny. All right. So if this goes south, then you're going to have to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to black you out?
Yeah. Contention. I mean, it's easy to say, and I've said it previously. Everything really is on a case-by-case basis, man. Right. There's a lot of... Well, let's talk about the realtors first.
Okay. I was going to cut you off right now, but go ahead.
Yeah. We'll see if
because he's trying to be politically correct.
We'll see if we have to edit this. No. I was trying to be politically correct, but I realized I just have to jump into it. That's what I realized. Now, there's so many different levels and types of realtors. There is the realtor who knows their stuff. Mm-hmm. Excellent. They're on top of everything. They know what they're doing. And that type of realtor can go one of two ways. Are they the type that you're handling the legal? Do your thing. Mm-hmm. I know you're going to get it done because I've seen you work before. Those are the ones we love. Mm-hmm. Because now we're all operating at the highest capacity. When we have to stop and answer emails, when we have to stop and give more often updates than we necessarily would on a deal. I had a deal the other day and a client was like, oh, I haven't heard from you in a couple of weeks. I was like, that's a good thing. We were in the middle of the transaction. Right. We're not at the end where it's closing. We're not at the beginning when it's contract. Right. I'm like, you're going to hear from me when there's an issue. Right. Because if title comes back and I see judgments against your name, now we have to reach out. Are these judgments against you? Now you have to figure something out because you're getting a loan. Right. So then you get the realtor that really knows their stuff, but they're all over you.
But they're a lawyer too. And they're a loan officer too, and they're an insurance agent too, and they're an inspector too.
There you go. I guess you've worked with those realtors before as well.
Yeah.
Look, don't get me wrong. A lot comes from the communication in the beginning. Like, how do you operate? And I've had to learn that a few times with a few people where I just operated, and then we figured it out after. But if I'm letting people know, how we operate, what we're capable of, and instill that trust just based on the transaction successfully closing, client successfully now owning or selling, and trusting their attorney based on that realtor recommendation, you're going to give me another recommendation.
The proof is in the performance. Yeah, absolutely.
So I like to have that conversation up front now initially, and I try to do that every single time. But sometimes people are all over you and they only want you or whatever it may be, and that's a bit of a point of contention. Mm-hmm. But I'll still take that over somebody who doesn't know what the heck they're doing or does know what they're doing and wants to throw all of their work on you. Yeah. So, it goes across the board. But, at the end of the day, that being one of the biggest referral sources of real estate business for now, you got to take the good with the bad if you're trying to be volume.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to grow, you need volume.
Right.
So that's the name of the game.
Well, all right, let me ask you a personal legal question then. So you guys get a pay retainer up front half, right, and half at closing. Do you, if the deal doesn't close, the retainer up front half is earned because you did the contract, you did the review, you did this, you did that? Or do you have a lot of clients come back, I didn't close, so I want to come back? I know this is tough. It's a tough answer.
No, look,
it's a tough answer. I know.
I'm easy. I already got it covered. Trust me, because you're not the first. You may be the first lender that's asked me, but you're not the first person.
Okay.
So traditionally, and we'll be upfront about the fees. Traditional buy sell. Not in Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say single family, Westchester, Long Island, boroughs, other than let's say Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
$1,750.
Okay.
And we take $750 up front, credit card, Zelle, check, wire, whatever the client's comfortable with, cash.
Mm-hmm.
We now have our retainer. We're working with you. You've signed it. You're moving forward. The deal dies. Where does the deal die?
Right.
If
where's
it dies,
the onus fall, right?
If we did work on a contract and that falls through, you don't sign, no problem. You're going to be back to the drawing board anyway.
Right.
So we'll credit you on
We'll
the next
apply
deal. Yeah. And this always... It happens with co-ops. We went through the whole process. We've been in contract for 2 months.
Didn't approve them?
They didn't even get to the interview. They didn't even approve the application. So for me, it's like, that I stand back to the realtor, like, why did you not ask the question? I don't know why. That's the thing about co-ops. There should be a rule that tells you why they denied you.
Yeah.
Because they could just do it for any reason.
They just changed it to 30-day notice, like a year ago or 2 ago. Before it used to be when they get back to you, right?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So,
she's like, oh, let's make this thing happen. We have to close second week in September.
Let's kill it, Kevin.
Yeah.
I like his face. Get that.
But not for nothing. What went wrong? If you didn't even get to the interview, something must have went wrong in the application.
Yeah, maybe the finances weren't right.
But you need to know that before you start applying. And
Absolutely.
that, to me, is what a great realtor brings to the table. Because they've already done that diligence.
And loan officer, right?
And LO.
You need to have LO run the DCIs. Yeah.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Because, the diligent buyer and realtor will already start working on the application the moment the contract is ready.
Absolutely.
So they're ready to go. Anyway, so we're 2 months later, and, to bring back to your question and to the point, I hate when this stuff happens. And I feel bad for the person. Now you went through everything. You thought you were going to close next week.
Right.
And now you're back to the drawing board. I got you. I have your retainer, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, to be continued. We'll figure out what happens with that.
They got to buy something else. That's all that happens.
Yeah, but I'm not going to bang them over there for another retainer for a new transaction.
Let me add a few things to you. And this is, I guess, will be good for people to know if they want to work with me. And people that work with me are pretty happy because I always keep it.
I've been very happy working with you.
My man. Thank you.
Shout out to Omar.
Basically, my clients are a reflection of me. And this is a sales thing that most people don't understand. Your clients are a reflection of you, right? So they'll be like, oh, how much does your guy charge? I'll be like, I'll just make a number, 15, 2,000, I don't know. But I also say, hey, well, my guy, you're going to have up-to-date everything, transparency. I work very fluidly with him. We'll get there faster. We can use whoever you want. And this happened with the client who referred you at the end for that closing. Like, her husband's pops, oh, this is my guy, he takes care of it. I was like, yo, you want to use him? Yo, go ahead. We tried. It didn't work. Now we're back to my guy.
Well, look, hopefully stories like that will now put the headlock a little bit tight. Like,
absolutely.
You have to do this to get the deal done.
Oh, well, let me go a little further.
Yes,
and then you have the guys that, and this is where me and most people in my industry kind of diverge. Where I'll wear the loan officer hat, the banker hat. They'll worry about their fee and they'll want to crush everybody else's fee because, the client can't overpay that. But understand that the less you pay, if you're in an organization, if you pay less, I totally believe you shouldn't get the same service as the guy who's paying more. I really believe that. So unless it's a special circumstance or a family member or, something crazy, and let's be real, if the deal is on the platter and we're closing, like, all right, I get it. There's some place to wiggle. But if the guy has to, run title, has to clear this, why wouldn't you pay him his fee? Right? So I don't do the whole negotiation of the fee. And I've had deals where I've paid the fee. For friends of mine, like for legal fees, I'll be like, look, charge him this, I got the balance from my fee. Because the loan officers usually and the realtors make more money. They work on the deal a lot longer, whatever, and there's things that sometimes they wouldn't get to the table without you. But at the end of the day, there's only so much skin on the meat on the bone, right? So like, why take it from the guy who's only making $1,500? And I'm not minimizing that. I'm just saying that the guy, we need him to close. Like, we can't I got the money here. What are we doing with it? Nothing. If we don't have a good attorney, we can't close. Using that thing as an example, that deal as an example. Oh, I'm away for 2 weeks.
Right.
Yeah, all right.
Right.
Well, I got $500,000 on the wire. We're closing. I'll see you later. Enjoy your vacation. This won't be part of your vacation budget, and
Right.
we'll move it. I mean, come on, like there has to be that respect, but there has to be respect from the beginning to the end. Meaning, like some attorney, I had another attorney hit me up. Oh, I need to see this, this, and this. I said, you haven't even signed a contract yet.
Right.
What you need? Oh, I need to see your fees. I need to see this. I need to see. Some of them were valid. No, some of them were valid. Or is there an environmental? Is it the so? Got it. So I did a good faith estimate. I still use HUDs, not a TRID, not CDs. I sent it over to him. I said the title bills are estimated. You're ordering title, so I don't know. I'm just throwing up, regular title. These are what our fees are. If there's something that shows up on title that there's been some environmental contamination, yes, we will need environmental one. If not, we just do his insurance for $2,500. We fill out a questionnaire. If everything is no, it's $2,500 for insurance. The insured transact. Like I broke it down for him. I did the monthly payment. I did all that. I had to step in for one of my LOs to do that because my LO is not as well versed as I am. And I told him, listen, commission stays the same, but the brand has to be a standard. I was like, I don't want people answering questions that look crazy because that affects me in a way that none of us can even predict yet. Right? They'll be, oh, HRN, yeah, that guy, he didn't know what the fuck he's talking. No, we're not having that conversation. So I'll be the lightning rod for everything. You still get paid, you still handle the client. I don't want to talk to your client, but those are protocols that I put in place. Like you said, sometimes they want to speak to you. I personally know some of the girls that work for you are highly qualified, so they probably take a lot of weight off your plate. But there's sometimes that only there's certain conversations that only you can have. Right, and that's the thing of being the head of your thing, the head of anything, the CEO of everything.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
The buck stops with you, and people have to understand that. But going back to what I was trying to talk about was basically your referral partners in your networking has to respect you too, because I feel it's a personal disrespect when somebody comes to me, hey man, I need you to charge $500, bro.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I know guys who do that. Yo, I need you to charge $800. I'm like, who? You telling your attorney that? Because I ain't telling nobody. That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Are you gonna kick in the money from your side? No. But you're making $45,000. I know.
Yeah.
I've had that comment. I'm like, yo, you're bugging. And some people don't care.
Look, if that's a realtor who I'm getting 15 deals a month for, and they're buying their personal house,
Yeah,
then
that's
we can
different.
talk. Yeah. Then let's have a
You're
conversation.
doing them a solid.
Yeah, exactly.
You're showing them love.
Exactly. And that's where the relationship kicks in, and that's really the most important part. But, don't get me wrong. I said I hate losing deals, and I'll do almost anything not to lose a deal if I know somebody is price shopping or shopping around, generally speaking. But, and Trey told me to kick this in. How low can you go? Can you go down low all the way to the floor? We don't go to the floor with it. We don't go to the floor with it. You're not going to see me twerking out here. We don't do that. Right. So
we don't do that shit here.
don't get me wrong. I don't even really like negotiating because I know the type of service that we put forth. And like you said, you should be getting paid more for your top quality of service.
Listen, I'll give you another example. And there's and I'm not shouting, I'm not shitting on people. Just I see everything. We only charge $1,000. Oh, title, that's for another $500. There's the upcharges. There's like, it's the same thing. People don't understand it because they just look at the sticker. On one deal, I had a friend of my wife's, and she this is before I met you, and she was like, I'm gonna go on. I went online. This guy only charges $800. I was like, hold on. You pay the guy I'm gonna refer you to $800. I'll put the difference in. Let's just close this deal, please. I can't do this. She's like, you think so? I had another client that their friend was their attorney. Purchase, and they're like, hey, he's gonna represent me. He's not charging me. I was like, all right, cool. So got the loan commitment, got it all done, moving. Where's title? Okay, he gave me a list of title agencies I should call. I said, what?
Yeah.
I was like, damn. I was like, let me help you with that because we'll take forever. You don't know what you're asking for. You don't know what the bank needs. You don't know, they don't know enough.
It's a procedure.
Right. But that's the thing. When people aren't getting paid, it gets very laissez-faire. Like, yo, do what you want. Like, I'm doing it for free. Like, call me when we can. If I can make it, I'll make it. If I can't. And people, when you pay attention. So you want to pay somebody something because you want to be able to get them on the phone when you need something clutch. When you just need to be reassured. How we looking? How we this? How we that? Right?
I think we just need to disseminate as many horror stories as possible. Because everybody knows a horror story.
Mm-hmm.
You've went the cheap route, the old moniker, you get what you pay for.
Right.
It's really true. But don't get me wrong, you still have to be you still have to be within the range
Mm-hmm.
in
Yeah,
order
yeah, you can't be exorbitant.
in order to blast off on the volume,
Right.
like to make this a thing. But like you said, you know my team, you know the people I have. They have more experience than me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I can hire people that are doing this better than me, you're comfortable now in every single aspect. You get me when you get me, but you got somebody else who's going to be able to give you as detailed, if not more, of an answer,
Then I can.
and take you where you need to go at the same rate and efficiency, because that's what we're doing as a team.
Yeah.
That's what our entire firm has team meetings and conversations about, you know? And of course, it's client first, you know, referral vendor.
Mm-hmm.
We put forth, and we're putting new systems in place. You know, I spoke about this when you and I spoke at the Brooklyn event.
Yeah.
We're putting new systems in place. Shout out to digitality.
We're putting CRMs in place.
We're putting new systems in place, you know, beyond just the standard CRM that people are using for the blast emails and the blast text messages. And don't get me wrong, that part is going to be great too.
Yeah.
Auto emails for updates now, like that realtor that we spoke about, you know, that's a point of contention that continually wants to call. Hey, is title in yet?
Did you get the email, bro?
Title. You know, it's a Suffolk County property. We just ordered. We just got in contract last week. Have you done a Suffolk deal lately? It's taking weeks.
Right.
Auto update. Boom. As soon as the email hits, now you have nothing to ask because you have all of the information right there.
Real
and you
time
know,
as soon as I have it.
And you know now that your counsel is literally the best around. And that's what you want.
And what's the feeling like? This is what I get a lot. I don't know how you deal with it yet, but I want to hear how you deal with it. I'll tell one of my team, hey, call this client. Tell them this. This is what the update is. Okay. They'll call. Tell them. Text. Updated. Good. 2 minutes later, I get a call from the client. Hey, I got a call. Is this real? Is this right? I'm like, yes. Yes. So I do a whole thing now with a text message where I introduce the team to the client, and I say something on purpose. I say, what they say is this. Take what they say as if I'm saying it, because they're going off my information.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I just not disposable at the time to call you on the side, but I put in and I keep them on a text thread. I know it's a little arduous for something. Like I have some clients that like bugging about closing this deal in Jersey, and the seller's fucked up. The seller's not doing what they got to do. They're getting to it, but going back to dealing with, like, I don't want to say assholes, but dumbasses. You know, 3 weeks ago, realtor's like, you know, Louis, the communication. Yeah, I'm gonna shout you out. The communication can be a little better. You know, I keep feeling like we're in the dark. Where are we getting a clear to close? 3 days later after that, they got the clear to close, right? I didn't even answer because it wasn't gonna be a nice answer. Clear to close, when can we schedule? Emails are going out. Title, we're not clear. Why aren't we clear? Okay. CO in Jersey, you have to do inspection. Okay. That was done yesterday. We're still not clear. Why not? Well, seller has to. Yesterday, I wrote the email back to the realtor, like quoting from that date, but then I caught myself, I deleted it. I was like, be an adult. But that's how it gets. It's like, come on, we just trying to close, relax. Like, why are you talking crazy? Like the email said, what else does the seller need to do? I'm like, yo, you should have asked that question 9 months ago or whatever, 3 months ago when we first started this transaction. Come on, bro, like get on your shit. But that's when being a professional really comes into play. You have to show discipline and show grace to others and try to, allow them to, I guess, voice their opinions, whether we agree or not. I think silence is golden, and like you keep pushing, man. Like, but that is me 20 years in the game now. Year 5, it would have been on. I would have been keyboard killing it.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, there's a work perspective and there's a business perspective. You understand both.
And that takes time to develop as a business person.
Right.
Yeah, because emotionally you get triggered and you're like, what? But at the end of the day, it's not helping nothing. It's just getting us all from point A to point B. And I use these deals on purpose. Like the deal we had, look, the attorney wasn't in contact with our client for 7 days and then said we're not going to be available for another 7 to 10 days. That's the response they got. I think you're looking to get fired at that point.
You would think. You would think.
Yeah.
And they did.
Yeah, and they got fired. And it serves them right because, you got to treat it for what it is. Every business, every transaction is opportunity, an opportunity of service. And yeah, we get compensated for it, but people are really depending on you as whatever part you are, the attorney, the realtor, the banker, it doesn't matter. They're all depending on you, right? And their emotions are flying high, and so many things have to click in place the right way to get a deal to close, which people still don't understand. So many things have to go the right way. And there's so many things. It's like, I think the average is 15, 16 people on a deal, from insurance to inspection to title to there's so many things that can go wrong or hold a deal up erroneously for no reason. And you got to be grateful when you get a smooth one.
Especially these days.
Yeah. Banks are a little tighter right now. Rates are coming back down, so you see a little more movement. But a lot of banks are still being careful because they don't want to get burned. They feel like they're going to get burned like they did a couple of years ago. Especially during COVID. During COVID, everybody's doing the fix and flips, and all these houses are coming, people buying them, falling apart on them. I mean, I don't know if you had clients during that time, but yeah, what warranties? They're like, yo, I sold it as is, and then that's where that term came so prevalent, as is,
yeah.
and that is a term. Can you break that term out for me? Because
oh man, I'm gonna have to pull up that video. I had me and Ida sitting down on that one.
Yeah,
she gave a very great in-depth perspective of it.
So let's segue to that video. We snip it later. Okay.
Yeah. Because even as is, that's a loaded term that has multiple meanings.
Right.
Some people throw it around loosely, and it doesn't really mean what it means loosely. You have to be very specific about it.
So what's the definition?
There are many definitions.
Well, give me the one that you feel is to the law.
Well, not even to the law. The one I get most frequently is everybody says it. Mm-hmm. Every realtor says, all right, this deal is as is. So, great. Standard contract language has working order representations, regardless of as is or anything else, that at closing, heating, air conditioning, mechanical systems, equipment, appliances will all be in working order. Working order. That doesn't sound like as is. What if I sign a contract and then something happens,
during the process?
Yeah. And usually attorneys write in and roof, free of leaks, basement, if there's a basement.
Free of seepage.
Things of that nature. So is that as is? I don't know. Actually, I do know. It's not. But that's what everybody says as is, and they understand the standard because they'll be the ones at the walkthrough.
Right.
I've never seen the house. I'm not going to the walkthrough.
It's on fire, but you're buying it as is, so we're good. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't worry about that rotting roof.
Exactly.
We're fine.
So, but the true as is, those are great. I mean, that's more like short sale, estate sale. Like we're not touching anything.
Right. This is what it is.
You're getting it regardless of whether it's working or not, regardless of whether there's a hole in it or not. That's the true standard as is. So every deal is really not as is.
With no
even though we
caveats.
hear it.
Right.
Hey, what's happening right now? This deal we said was as it? No. You need to make sure that. And to be honest, a true as is, it could even have multiple meanings. Are we talking about just the condition of the property, or now are we talking about, are you taking it as is, subject to violations, subject to municipal issues with the certificate of occupancy, open permits, things of that nature? That's where your attorney comes into play, because all of these things need to be negotiated and contracted out for. Know what you're signing. Know what your binding contract is going to actually say.
What it's going to commit you to and what it's not going to commit you to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So as is a funny one. Ida is incredible with her breakdown, super concise, and ultimately, she said it a lot quicker than I just did.
We'll get the snip in there. We'll put it in here. Yeah. I mean, look, I think we've talked about you growing the business. We've talked about, and there's something different about once you meet somebody and then when you start doing business with them. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, it just changes the dynamic. The relationship becomes more serious. Yeah. Right? Like, he's a real, or she's a real, like, they're an asset to my life. Right? And not just like somebody talking. And I'm glad that we've met and we are doing business and we're just starting because, you have some things in play. I have some things in play. Once the flow goes, the O show starts, and then we go bananas. Then we'll be doing pop-up. We'll be doing podcasts on top of the Empire State Building.
Yeah. I'll see you there next year.
There it is.
With parachutes.
All right, you jumping, not me.
All right.
Yo, Kev, where can they get you? Please look into the camera.
Get me anywhere. You catch me.
Catch me outside.
Yeah. Social media. You could really just type in K space Diffley space law space group into Google. Will pop up on your search. All 5 stars, by the way. They're going to continue to grow and grow. I hope that nobody presses 1 by accident, because I'm sure they didn't get 1-star service. But in all reality, working with Digitality, who you hooked me up with, who we're here now.
Our people.
Shout out to the people. So they've been helping me out a lot with the social media, and it's really helped with me becoming a resource for the industry.
Right.
It's helped with engagement with people that obviously I may not have talked to in 5-10 years, but now they feel like they have somebody who they can rely on. And I'm starting to get calls more and more and more and more in the different area of laws that me and my firm practice. And it's only going to continue to grow.
Yeah. Have you gotten a DM yet? Because I gotten this DM. Hey, you look like somebody that'll understand my situation, and you look like a person that I can trust. Like, I've gotten a few of those, and those are big. To me, they're big because, they're just going off of video content, right? And they don't really, but they feel like they know. And I mean, you can only fake so much, right? Like, you'd be able to tell somebody if somebody wasn't being authentic. But that's the part about social media. That's almost like the hidden gem or the hidden metric that you can't really quantify.
Exactly.
It's an ROI that you can't quantify. It's so much bigger than that.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then to me, the bigger thing is also not just getting new clients, because people are, what's the ROI? How many leads you get? Like, I'm one of the rare people that don't do that. I do paid advertising sometimes, and I get leads, and I've gotten deals out of that. My best deal was a straight DM. Hey, I saw you online. I'm stuck. Maybe you can help, or somebody you work with can help me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just responded, hey, what's the scenario? What's your scenario? What state? What's loan amount? We went back and forth, and I'm gonna close that guy again this month for the 4th time. So he became a client. He went from a customer viewing online to helping me. I'm helping his first deal, second. Now we're on his 4th deal, and he's become one of my guys now. It's dope. It's dope, but it happens. I've gotten hit by guys that are living in other states that I know from back in the days. Yo, I saw you on Facebook. I've gotten clients hitting me from LinkedIn. Yep. Hey, you told me to follow you like 10 years ago. It's time. I want to. And, I keep track of all that because, that to me kind of validates my thought process. Yeah. I'm like, yo, there's no way I can be on the phone all day, every day. Text, hey, do you need a refi? Do you need this? Do you need this? Like, there's just no way. But that is the way, beyond all the outlets, is doing the work.
And that lets you know that it's making sense. Another phone call on the way up here. I was on the phone the whole time.
You got a phone call from somebody you didn't know?
Somebody who
the mixer?
Follows.
Oh, follows. Okay.
On IG.
Okay.
Dr. K Diff. That's DOCTOR_K_DIFF. The doctor of law. Law. Give me a buzz.
What was the question that they had?
So, they're in Connecticut.
Okay.
Their grandmother has a brownstone in
Brooklyn. Okay.
Family lives in there. Grandmother lives in there. Almost 90.
Mm.
Still in solid health. So I'm like, oh, okay, great. What's going on? She is a subscriber to Legal
Zoom?
Shield.
Or Legal Shield. Okay.
So I'm like, oh, I've heard it all before. No A. Marie.
I've heard it all before.
Is that A. Marie? Who's that? You know that song.
I know.
She did go through Legal Shield.
Okay.
She got her will done, her power of attorney done, and her trust done.
Mm-hmm.
And then she goes on to tell me, so I looked up the deed. It's in her name, and it's in my uncle's name. And I was like, well, is the trust supposed to be holding the real estate?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, it's not. You actually have to get a new deed, a new set of transfer documents, transfer
into the trust,
the interest into the trust.
Right.
For one. For two, my aunt is the trustee. She don't want to be the trustee. She never signed it. So I'm like, so you don't even have an executed trust. You don't even have a trust.
Right, you have
papers.
You have paper. You have some papers.
Yeah. You want to get this thing done? Thank you for calling me. You've been seeing some of the videos. I appreciate it. I'm here to step up and help and get it done the right way. And don't get me wrong. You could save a few $100s, but are you really saving when you spent money and it did nothing for you?
Absolutely.
You now have paper and you saved money versus going to an actual law firm. But did you save? You actually didn't. You wasted money.
You didn't save, and also you're under the false pretense because God forbid something happened and the house, something happened to the house. You're thinking, oh, we're in a trust, we're good. You have a monster tax event, and you have whoever is on deed. Those are the owners. So you're in Connecticut. You can stay in Connecticut because you're not an owner of the house. You have no rights, right? So I'm sure you said it a lot more eloquently than I just did, but you said
That's
it in
pretty
a
good. That's pretty good. Needless to say, that is a connection you can quantify.
Mm-hmm.
Not all of them you can. However, I'm expecting and hoping that we'll be engaged to actually draft the trust the right way to get it done, also to draft the deed and transfer documents and have the trust own the property. And now the grandmother can truly feel secure with her legacy.
Trustee, right? Yeah, absolutely. So you set up an appointment with her?
We're on the way.
Mm-hmm.
I told her, I was like, I got to meet the great O first. And we got to sit down and do this podcast.
I'd be the bankster.
Get her done. Just, make sure you subscribe to that too. You might learn something here,
Yeah, put it on my YouTube channel.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, man. So we're wrapping up today. K-Diff, Doctor of Love, Bankster.
And law.
We look a little different. Love and law. I'm sorry, I said love. Love and law. Love and law. K-Diff, the Bankster. We're wearing each other's swag. See you at the next one. See you at the next event. We might hold an event. We don't know what we're doing yet. We're just doing everything.
Appreciate those that tuned in. Appreciate our relationship. Thank you, Digitality. Thank you, HGRN Capital. Thank you, everybody involved.
Thank you,
Big
Eric.
O, Mag,
Thank you, Eric.
The whole nine. Oh, Eric, you there? Oh, yeah. Thanks,
Producer Eric.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Get my
shout out to everybody. And shout out to Ida and Gabby, because I don't know the rest of them, but I got to come to your office so I can meet everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.